Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services, if we can please kindly turn off all cell phones or electronic devices, or please place them on silent. Thank you.
Adonai Nasan, Adonai Lokach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevodach, Me'atav Adolam. God has given you the gift of Herman. God has taken the body of Herman. May God be blessed in the name of God forever. Amen. We'll begin this morning's service, Leil Nishmas in loving memory. How hard it is for us to say that. Chaim Feivel ben Moshe, someone whoever knew him, loved him. He was that kind of a person, small in physical size, but huge in stature, in character, in midas tovos, a man who was exemplified being a kind, generous, humble person. He was loved, and he loved, and he will surely be missed. Psalm 23, Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roye leyechse b'nei seshi abitzeni, al mei menuchas yina aleini nafshi yeshev v'yancheni v'magli tzedek leman shemoi, gam ki elech begetz amavis lo irira, ki ata imadi, shiftecho m'shantecha hemi nachamuni, tarach lefone shulchan neget tzedere de shanta v'shem roishi koisi revoye, ach te v'chesi yedefuni koli mechayai, v'shafte beveis Adonai, li oidach yamim. Those who would like to join in, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the straight path for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of the death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Kapitel 121, Psalm 121, Shir Amalis. Esa ene elehorim ma'ayin yavi ezi mi'im adinoi oise shemaim va'aretz. Al yitin ha'moikra glach an yom shemracha. Hine lo yinum v'lo yishan shem Yisrael. Adnoi shemracha adnoi tzilcha ad yadi mimnecha. Yom ha'shemesh lo yikeka v'reich b'loila. Adnoi yishmarcha ma'kol ra. Yishmeres nafshecha. Adnoi yishmer tzeitzcha v'yecha. Me'ata v'yad elam. And finally, Psalm 91, Yoshe b'tzes Eli and b'tzes Shadi Yisleinan. Amaladinoi machzim sedas ala hechfte boi ku yetzilchum apach yakush medever avreis. Bevrasa yasas lach v'sachas knaf techzes sinne v'zechir amitei. Lai sirim apachet loyla mechetzia v'yomel medever boi v'yalach meket v'yotsh b'tzarayim. Yipel mitzitcha elv v'vavam munecha elecha lo yigosh. Rak b'necha sabit v'shilumas yisharim tira. Ki ata din machzi ali in samtum menecha lo se'una elecha ra. V'nega lo yikr b'elecha. Ki malach v'tzavalach yishmarcha b'chol derechecha. Al kapayim mitzuncha pentigav v'evan aglecha. Al shachem v'fesen tiderich timers kvi v'sanen. Kvi chashak v'afadeu asekveik yodishmi. Yikre eni v'eneu imenech v'tzarach al tzeiv v'chabdeu. Oirich yamas b'yeu v'areu b'shuasi. I've known Herman for many years, and to know him means you love him. in his most modest, humble, and gentle and kind way. He never made it about him. It was always about others. Yesterday in the morning when I came to shul, though the minyan that he regularly davens, the early minyan, was canceled yesterday due to a shiva, and I spoke to some of the people who daven with him regularly. They couldn't believe it because he never even let people know that he was sick. He was never a kvetcher. He was never a complainer. It was always about being happy and being gentle and being kind. And all I can say is, Avad Chassid ben Aretz, we've lost a giant. In his very modest, kind way, he will surely be missed. To his grandchildren, I say, you are lucky to have somebody as special as that. That model is not easily built. That took real effort for him to be what he is. And my bracha to him is, my blessing to him is, that you should continue being in his path the way he has, the way your Baba has. Just incredible people, people that are loved. And we will surely miss him. I know that Leah mentioned to me yesterday, Friday, that it was his birthday just the other day, and she asked him, please don't die on your birthday. And what did he do? He waits a day. That's Herman. That if you have to personify Herman, he was asked, he waited. There is a mitzvah in the Torah to eulogize and to give honor to their father and grandfather. I'd like to call up first Natalie, then the son Daniel, and then the nephew, Stephen.
My father, Herman Kuszmerski, Chaim Feivel ben Moshe Vachana Rosa, was born on February 19, 1947. My brother recently wrote a beautiful tribute to him on his birthday a few days ago that he posted on Facebook, which described the trajectory of my dad's life. If you haven't seen it, please look at it. It's really beautiful. When my dad was born, he was the little prince. The youngest of 3 sisters, and born after the end of the war, my father was constantly doted on. According to the stories, whatever Jaime wanted, Jaime got. If Jaime wanted to eat hot dogs every day, he ate hot dogs every day. If Jaime wanted a pet bird, he got a bird. If he wanted a dog, he got a dog. But my father also contributed to this loving embrace of his family. While spending the last few weeks with my cousins, I learned more about his early life and came to realize that he was actually the first person in his family who could really read and understand English. And he was never stingy with this skill set, helping his parents, his sisters, his nieces and nephews to navigate the various intricacies of life in America, because that's what you do for family. My husband Alex told me that this past Friday evening, while I was flying back from Florida, he and my kids had Shabbat dinner with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law and family. They took the opportunity to share stories and memories about my dad. Alex said that for him, my dad embodied the idea of family first. And this is so true. My dad did whatever he could for family. His parents, his sisters, his nieces and nephews, his wife, his kids, and definitely his grandkids. My dad worked really hard for over 40 years with long hours and a long commute for his family. He took us on lots of memorable vacations while we were growing up and loved to buy gifts for his grandchildren. He was also generous with my mom's family, hosting endless visitors from Israel and frequently playing tour guide to sites in Philadelphia, New York, Washington, D.C., Lancaster, PA, and one of his favorite places, Longwood Gardens. The family first philosophy also extended to his friends. He was always ready to help them in any way he could and loved spending time with his friends from Cherry Hill, from work, from Patterson, and from Florida. Specifically for me, my dad was a source of calm support. I can't really describe it, but in moments of turmoil in my life, I was always able to turn to my dad. He couldn't solve all my problems or make difficult times disappear, but having his love and his presence somehow made them more bearable. 8 years ago, my mom threw my dad an amazing 70th birthday party. At that party, my brother and I each gave a toast. What a blessing it was to be able to tell my dad what he meant to me in front of loved ones. I'm so thankful for that. Thankful that we always told each other how much we loved each other. My dad often told me how proud he was of me. And I was also very proud of him. Proud of the life he led, proud of the family he raised, proud of the Jewish legacy he created, and proud of the goodness he put into the world. In the last few weeks of my father's life, he reverted to mostly speaking Yiddish, his first language. While I know a few words, I don't really speak Yiddish, but with the help of my mom, I learned a few phrases. As I said to him then, and I say to him now, Ich hab dich lieb, Daddy. I love you. Thank you.
Over the last 3 weeks, every time my sister and I would walk into the hospital room, and many times during the day, and before we left, we would kiss my dad and said, "We love you, Daddy. We love you." The truth is, I kissed my dad, and I told him I loved him every time I saw him, for as long as I can remember. My father was a great dad. He was a great Zaidi. I have so many wonderful memories that have flooded my mind and my heart during this time. As a kid on Friday nights, we would listen to records, play board games or cards. And we would dance, and I would stand on his feet, and he would swirl me around. I remembered stopping for hot chocolate after going to my basketball games and listening to the Eagles on the radio as we came back from my Sunday soccer games. I remember going to our annual birthday Hanukkah Sixer game, right? It would be just me and him. And I would see Hersey Hawkins and Maurice Cheeks play, and I would envision him playing in the NBA. He and I always bonded over sports. Going to basketball games, going to baseball games, and watching the Eagles together. He's the first person I called when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017. And there's no question that he and my mom would go to the parade, and we did. I felt so fortunate to be able to celebrate this last Eagles run with him, calling him after every game in the playoffs, and watching the highlights with him while he was in the hospital. I got one more last "yeah, baby" out of him when they won the Super Bowl. While we didn't go to the parade this year together, we were together, and that was more important. My dad always had a dream of going to every single baseball park. And while we never quite made it to all of them, we did go to a few. We went to the Vet, Citizen Bank Park, Shea Stadium, Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium, Camden Yards, New Comiskey, Wrigley, Milwaukee County Stadium, Angel Stadium. We even saw a Team USA game at Fenway Park, and we went onto the dugout afterwards. We took a tour of Olympic Park in Montreal. We ate hot dogs, peanuts. He drank a beer, I drank a Coke, right? We shared this with other people, but he and I were always together at these things. We even worked together. One summer I worked at Schumacher in the warehouse while he was doing his thing, and what I remember most, not working in the warehouse, was driving with him, right? The hour drive with him, an hour drive back, going to lunch with him at the Chinese restaurant on Route 130. Remember that time I had with my dad. This time I'll never forget. I asked my kids some of their fondest memories of their Zadie. They all said pancakes. He made great pancakes. There's big debate over who could eat the most, although Jacob always says it's him. Noah says he would get full. Emma, she kind of acquiesces. I don't know. They loved the sleepovers at Softa and Zadie's house, going to mini golf, bowling. Noah loved his trips to Wegmans. Right? My parents used to watch him and babysit him, and they used to take him to Wegmans, and he still remembers going upstairs to eat and watch upon the shoppers as they went about their way. I always appreciated that he prioritized attending my kids' events, even to the end. Soccer games, birthday parties, dance recitals. My dad instilled in me the importance of being present, loving, honest, and being an Eagles fan. And what we know is he loved us. He loved my mom, who was so wonderful to him, and loved him and cared for him, even when he was angry and scared and in pain. He loved my sister. He loved her family. He loved me. He loved my family. We'll always say, Daddy, we love you.
Stephen?
I have a little different perspective. To me, it was Uncle Jaime, and I'll tell you about the man that I knew. When we lived in the same two-family house in Patterson, he taught me how to fish. I was a small little runt, and he kind of took me under his wing, and we fished on the banks of the not-so-beautiful Passaic River. When I was a teenager, we'd go out together and do some deep-sea fishing. He taught me how to catch really big fish, but he never warned me about the possibility of seasickness. He got me into watching basketball. Back then, it was the Knicks, before he moved down to the southern part of the state. And we would watch in his room on his massive 14-inch black and white TV. He taught me about patience and process as I watched him refinish a piece of furniture that he had in his bedroom. And then, of course, he taught me how to hang wallpaper. I just remember he was drafted into the Army, and I tagged along as my dad drove him to Fort Dix and drove him back, whatever period of time that was. It was a couple of weeks, I guess. When he came back, he had a trophy for marksmanship, and he was so angry. It's like, well, you got a trophy, why are you angry? He was convinced that the drill sergeant had it in for him and wanted to send him to the infantry because he said, I was shooting at other people's targets. And the irony was that he would never hurt a fly. He was the one who he really did take in that bird with the broken wing in the backyard and fix him up. Remember once he played midwife in delivering a litter of kittens for the family cat. Uncle Jaime, he gave me my first car. He taught me how to drive a manual transmission. Yeah, as you may have heard, he may have been doted upon a little bit as the youngest. He had, his parents, and he had 3 older sisters. And people may have joked about that, but he paid it all back in spades. I mean, he was always there for his parents, for his sisters, and you would never know that he was the youngest. Mishpacha was everything to him. When Uncle and Jaime decided to be married, they gave my sister Gloria the honor of being the maid of honor, and for me to play the ceremonial role of best man. But he always set a good example. He always did the right thing, and he inspired the rest of us to do the same. He truly was the best man.
In listening to these most amazing tributes, I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to say this. I loved Herman. Everyone who knew him, I think, loved him. He one day, as he was good at, he complimented me and he said, Mendy, I really like your Dvar Teres. I really like your talks, which you rarely ever hear from any congregant, ever. So I asked him, if that's the case, why do you come to the early minyan when I don't talk, rather than to the late minyan where I do talk? And he answered me something that until today, I wasn't sure if it was true, but I knew that he just wanted to make me feel good, but now I know that it was true. He answered in 3 words, "Siz besser for the mishpacha." It's better for the family that I come home early. And that's why he would come to the early minyan. I'm going to miss him. I really am. Never complained in shul, never showed his pain he was suffering for months, never kvetched, never demanded covered. He was just the real deal, if you can say so. Yehi Zechi Baruch, may his memory be for a blessing. Amen. Psalm 130, Shir Malis Mimakim Kersech Adinoi, Adinoi Shima V'Kelitiyan, as Necha Kashuvas L'Kel Tachnunoi. Im Avoinus Yishmeya, Adinoi Miyamoid Kimchas L'Chel L'man Tevarei. Kivisi Adinoi Kivsa Nafshi Il Dvarei Echolti. Nafshi L'Adinoi M'Shem L'Mobeker, Shem L'Mobeker. Yachal Yisrael El Adinoi Ki'im Adinoi HaChesed. V'harba Yim Ifidus, V'hu Yivtes Yisrael M'Kol V'Neisav. Amen. I ask you to please rise. We'll say the Keil Mali. L'zeichen Nishmas, how hard it's for us to say, but in loving memory of Chaim Feivel ben Moshe. Eil Mali Rachmim, Sheichim Bamreimim, Hamtzei Menuchen Echoinot, Al Kamfei Ashchina, B'malis Kedoshim Muteilim Kezeir Arki Amazirim Es Nishmas, Chaim Feivel ben Moshe, Shahalach loy lamai, began Eden Temen Chasei. Anna balarachim utzrei b'seif genav loy lamim. Utzrei b'ter chaimes shesmasei ad noihu nachalasei. V'nuach b'shalom al mishkavai v'neimar. Amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Chaim Feivel ben Moshe, who has gone to his eternal home. Master of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that he has done and performed in the land of the living. May his soul be bound in the bond of life. The Lord is his portion. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. We may be seated.